This is episode 14 of the Joyful Movement Show, and I have some really special guests for you today. I'm so excited to have 4 very inspiring women on. They're my clients, people who have worked with me as their coach, and they came to share their stories with you. So stay tuned. Hi there. Welcome to the Joyful Movement Show. I'm your host, Kim Hagel, mom, recovering dieter, and founder of Radiant Vitality Wellness. As a personal trainer with my own story of body acceptance, I've seen firsthand how diet culture influences the fitness industry and the damage it causes the women I work with, keeping them on the start-stop cycle, struggling to find motivation. It's now my mission to empower women to break free from torturous exercise, restrictive eating, and body shame. Stick with me and I'll help you discover what moves you so that you can tap into that burning motivation deep inside yourself and experience joyful movement, peace with food, and feel confident in your own skin. Are you ready? Let's lace up our runners, pop the earbuds in, and go for a walk while we chat. Hello, friends. Welcome back. I'm so excited about this episode. So you all know that I'm a personal trainer and a registered holistic nutritionist, and I love guiding people through movement and teaching people about the power of food. But what you might not know is that I'm also a coach, and it's actually my favorite part of my job. You see, I discovered really early in my fitness career that just telling people what to do, like do these exercises and eat this way, it doesn't really work. It didn't get people the results that they wanted. And either people didn't do what I say, or they did, and it just didn't get them where they thought that it would. And that used to really frustrate me and my clients with good reason. I mean, they had goals, and I was supposed to have this system. And when it doesn't go according to plan, that's rather frustrating. I also learned pretty quickly in my career that being a personal trainer, you become really close with your clients. And I'm honored to hold a position of trust with them. People tell me things, like big things, and therefore I always kind of knew that there was more to the formula than just eat and exercise this way and you'll get to your goal. I knew that their mindset, their perspective, and their history had a huge part to play in their relationship to movement and food and their body image. It was all intertwined. So being the type of person that wants to help people as much as possible, I knew I had to educate myself more on that side of things. Just giving people an exercise and meal plan wasn't enough. I had to help them heal their whole relationship to their body image, movement, and food. And that's why I invested in a 6-month non-diet professional mentorship program with Stephanie Doje. And now the biggest part of my job is coaching. I created my 16-week program, Right Body for Me, so that I could support women to unlearn all those limiting beliefs that are keeping them stuck on the start-stop cycle, struggling with motivation, the lack of willpower, and the unmet goals and feelings of failure and shame that they had. And like I say, it's my favorite part of the job because mindset work, that's where the true transformation happens. When a person can completely rewire their mindset and learn to engage with food and movement from a place of self-care rather than punishment, and they can see their body as a tool through which to enjoy life rather than just an object that they need to shrink, when they can see their worth outside of their body and begin to find their joy, it's miraculous for them. And suddenly there's this ease with movement and food and peace in their body. And it's so amazing to witness. At any rate, I don't want to go on all day here because I'm sure you want to hear it straight from these women themselves. These 4 ladies are at the tail end of Right Body for Me, and I have questions for them based on things you submitted through my social channels. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Awesome. So you all know that I invited you on here because I get a lot of questions about joyful movement, about giving up dieting, about respecting your body and how to heal your body image. And these are all topics that I coach women on inside of Right Body for Me. And I thought, who better to share what that's all about than the ones who've actually gone through it? So for those of you who are listening, I have 4 participants from my coaching program here. There's Anne Marie, you could say hi.
Hi.
And Stacy.
Hello, everyone.
And Kathy.
Hello.
And Jen. You say hi.
Hello. It's
She's
going to be a
here.
rough start
She's
this
just waking
morning.
up. And all of these ladies are just at the tail end of their 16-week program. And I've prepped them by sending them questions that you folks have submitted on my social media channels. So without any further ado, we'll just get right into it. So Anne-Marie, the first question is for you. And this is my own question because I find that it can be really hard to describe the Right Body for Me program. Sometimes people will ask me if it's an eating plan or an exercise program, which it's not. So how would you describe it?
I have the same challenge, Kim. It is hard to describe it. But when I've talked to people about my experience, I take them back to the beginning. And I remember thinking about this program and thinking if I just had the right steps to follow, I could make the changes that I want to make. However, what I've learned through this program is it's not about a diet plan, an exercise plan. It's not about the steps. It's about digging a lot deeper. And when you dig into your thoughts and really discover yourself and what's going on there, then you realize that's the catalyst for true change. And
Yeah.
when you dig into those thoughts and figure out what the feelings are that are associated with them, I now feel totally empowered to chase those feelings and go after the goals that I want to achieve in my life. It's made a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Huge difference. I love how you just summarized that, right? Because I think that's a trap we all fall into. I know I did myself for so many years. You think if I could just find the right program, that right set of steps that's going to work for me, maybe I'll finally get to that goal that I have. But, there isn't one, right? There's not one more program out there that's going to be the thing, but it all starts in the mind. And that's what you've been able to identify, which is just so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Stacy, you're up next. And a listener has asked us, or she has shared that she's tried every program out there to lose the weight and nothing's worked for her long term. So will this program help me lose weight?
I don't know. Maybe it will, but maybe it won't.
Yeah.
The bigger question for me was, why did I want to lose the weight? And it turned out it didn't have anything to do with the number on the scale. I wanted my injured body to become strong. And I didn't want any more of those quick fix diets because they didn't work. I didn't want somebody to give me a meal plan to follow because I knew after a week I'd say, ugh, enough of this. I'm not following that.
Yeah.
What I've been learning is that if I chase a feeling rather than an outcome, I am more likely to obtain what I'm really after.
Yeah. So what feeling would you say that you've been chasing?
Strength,
Yeah.
happiness,
Yeah.
accomplishment.
Yeah. And how are you finding those now? What's shifted?
They're much more attainable because you can try chasing an outcome. And let's say it's losing weight. It may take you weeks to get to that first goal if you ever get there.
Yeah.
No wonder we give up. But if you're chasing the feeling of being happy or joyful, you could do that just by going for a walk and you've already chased
Absolutely.
that feeling. You've already got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that shift. If I could summarize what I've observed with your experience is that in the past, you would enter into these exercise or eating programs, making the assumption that weight loss would result in that desired feeling that you were after. You were looking for strength, you were looking for joy all along, but you made the assumption that weight loss was the way there, right?
Yes, because
Yeah,
that's what I'd always been told.
right. Yeah. But when
Yeah,
you switched your thinking to just chase the feeling, then a whole bunch of outcomes were available to you. And suddenly you found movement that you enjoy, food that you enjoy without the expectation that weight loss is the final outcome.
absolutely.
A lot more consistency with your daily habits too, if I can say that.
You definitely can.
Yeah. Awesome. That's so great. Okay, Jen, you're up next. And this question comes from a listener. She said, I used to exercise regularly and I loved my fit body, but now I can't seem to get motivated to do anything. I've heard you talk about joyful movement, but I can't think of anything I would enjoy. I just hate exercise. How do I get motivated?
Well, I too have struggled with this. I remember working out And it was the all or nothing thinking that I had to do
Mhm.
this workout in order to make it count.
Yeah.
I notice now people put a lot of stuff on their stories to make their accountability public that would
Mm.
help them. So motivation is more of a feeling. I do know that, say, last week, I had been tired and exhausted. It's very
Mm.
heavy right now with pandemic and
Mhm.
work and everything else. And I made a conscious decision to feel better by moving my body. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sucked. Yeah, I still feel it
Yeah.
physically, but I do know that that day started off much better for me.
Yeah.
I had shifted my mindset that the focus wasn't feeling really cruddy. It was actually, I was wanting to feel strong and
Yeah.
active and not in control, but more about being looking after myself. It was
Yeah.
the focus as opposed to I have to get this done in an all or nothing feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So motivation, it comes from within, but it's the feeling that you want to get. How do you want to feel when you're done your workout? And I achieved that immediately. And it
Yeah.
also doesn't have to look like a workout. It could be a
Exactly.
walk. It could
Yeah.
be stretching, yoga. It could be meditation. Those things, like
Yes.
they all
It
kind
could
of
be
go hand in
rest,
hand.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. It
Yes,
could be rest.
exactly. If your body's done, then rest.
Yeah. So just to bring some clarity for our listeners, Jen works in a helping profession in the social services. So work can be very mentally draining. So having this mindset that you have to add a workout in on top of that when you're mentally exhausted, it's well, it's not very motivating at all, right? When you feel like you should
Right.
or you have to. But watching you shift your mindset to this is a way to care for myself when I'm depleted and exhausted, and then being able to choose from an abundant toolkit of movement options, that's a
Mhm.
lot more of an empowering space to be in, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's helped immensely to not focus on the list or the
Yeah.
have tos. It's more how do I feel right now and how do I want to feel?
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, Kathy, this one's for you. And this listener says, I've tried all the programs, Weight Watchers, paleo, keto, Noom, all the shakes, and it always goes great at first. And I lose weight and I even start to feel better. But then I go off the rails and I revert to old habits. I don't know why I always fail, or maybe I just haven't found the right system yet.
Well, with all the different programs I've tried and spent thousands of dollars on over the years, the root of those programs were that because I was overweight, there was something that was very wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, with each program and each failure, that became a core belief. There was something wrong with me. The miracle of the Right Body for Me program is that it teaches a different way to think because thoughts directly change our actions.
Yeah.
I have a new freedom when it comes to my thoughts about myself, my choices, and the actions I choose each day, thanks to this program. It's not like any other of the several I have spent thousands on over the years. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. So, what do you think was the biggest shift in your thinking when you made that realization that it's your thoughts that create your feelings, that create the action that you take? Once you identified that, what would you say is the biggest change in how you think now?
I think the biggest change is when I see a commercial or something, after New Year's, they're all out there.
Hmm.
And I think, oh, nope, that's diet culture. I'm not buying into that. And
Yeah.
I have freedom and I
Yeah.
can choose what I want to do with my body, like as far as moving it and as well as what I put inside of it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't feel guilty if I want to have something that would have been considered a bad food before. I know it's just
Absolutely.
all food. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
so that's been a lot of freedom in it.
Yeah.
You
Freedom
know,
from all those rules and shoulds and should nots, and that there's one right way to do things, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that.
you're welcome.
Anne Marie, you're up again. And this person says, I've never been on a diet, but I like following meal plans and workout regimes because without that structure of someone telling me what to do and when, I'm afraid I'd lose all control. And I hear that one a lot. People don't feel like they could trust themselves around food or to make healthy choices without a program. What do you have to say about that? Oh, you're muted. There she
Yep.
is.
I totally identify with this listener's question because I like structure. So
Mm-hmm.
I liked the sense of structure and security in following a plan. The challenge is those plans, the gap is when you go off the plan because life gets in the way, life happens. So when you have the days you miss the workout or you're not following the meal plan, it leaves you feeling like you failed.
Yeah.
And how do you pick yourself back up and get back on that plan? So, time and time again, after failing on those routes, what I learned through Right Body for me is I have to go back to the root, which is the thoughts. And that's where the true control is. It's our thoughts and feelings that control our actions. And once
Mm-hmm.
you learn that and learn how you can navigate through those thoughts, you can tackle anything that life throws at you and put your own plan in place. And it's not somebody else's diet plan or exercise plan that gives you the control. It's taking back your own thoughts
Yeah.
to navigate.
And would you say you've learned to trust your body to make the right decision too? I think that's a big issue when people have a thought like this, is that they can't trust themselves to make the right decision.
Totally. And I think back to my journey throughout this program, I've had different moments where I've had that fear of I'm not going to trust myself to make the right choices.
Mhm.
But what I've learned is that's negative self talk.
Yeah.
And if I can get to the root of what's causing that, um, you realize that, your body actually does know
Mhm.
what it needs and what is best.
Yeah.
And the trust starts to build, and then it comes easier and easier the more you practice the self-coaching.
Yeah. And then we also realize in time that there is no right or wrong, right? Whatever your body's asking for in the moment can be fine, right? It's allowed.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Great. Okay, so Stacy, next one's for you. And this one is this listener said, I really try to make healthy choices, but I always run out of willpower. Willpower is this issue that I hear all the time. People feel like a failure when the willpower gives out. So this listener says, how do I stay on track?
I don't really like the word willpower.
Me neither.
I so often think that if we feel like we don't have willpower, it makes us feel like we're failing, and it's just so not true. That's part of what I've learned. There isn't really a track to stay on, and one track wouldn't work for everyone anyway.
Yeah.
And life doesn't have to be about good versus bad foods or diets or restrictions. I mean, telling yourself you can't eat something or someone else telling you that you can't eat it is just a guarantee you're going to want it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something I've learned to trust myself with, that actually some of those foods that I thought were treat foods or the bad foods, when I'm allowed to have them whenever I want, I don't really want them as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
And if I do, that's okay too.
Yeah. Right. Because there's no fear of the food anymore, right? It doesn't have power over you. And
No.
I think you hit on a really important point, that the reason that we overeat or overindulge, if you want to call it that, is because a particular food or a food group has been restricted or been off limits, right? So the body starts to crave it. And then when it's allowed, even in small doses, you overindulge, right? But like you're saying, when everything's allowed and all foods fit, you can have as much as you want without guilt and without overdoing it, right? Because that food can always be available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Okay, Jen. This listener says, I always give up on myself when it comes to exercise. I start out and I get feeling stronger, start to have more mobility, more flexibility, but then I revert back to my old ways. So, how do I find the motivation or willpower to stick with it?
Well, as we know, there's motivation, willpower. It's how we perceive external or internal feelings. And so I know myself, external, if I looked good or I thought I looked good to other people, that would be a motivator to help me, a catalyst to help me exercise. It just didn't stick. So, what happens now for my mind shift is that I think more about the feeling and where I want to be, more about how I can incorporate just subtle movement into my day and feel stronger. So it's about more self-awareness and noticing And then the sticking with it comes. It's getting rid of that all or nothing feeling. And like I have a whole rule book of
Yeah.
things that I have been working towards not, focusing on instead of just being in the moment. So all these rules that you have to work out first thing in the morning, and if you don't, you can't do it at the end of the day. You're going to be too tired. I have all these
Yeah.
dysfunctional thoughts that I have to work through, not
Mhm.
have to, I choose to work through
Yeah.
and switch the mindset in order to get working. It could be jumping jacks, as I said before. It could be just stretching. It could be
Yeah.
a walk with your family, your dogs, or just shoveling snow at this time. So it could be anything
Yeah. Yeah.
to
It really is
keep
about just
moving.
letting go of the whole right and wrong, good and bad, right? That there's one way that
Mhm.
exercise should look. There's so much available to you, but we have in our belief system that exercise needs to take place in a gym and it needs to be done this way,
Mhm.
right? And that's
Yeah,
rather limiting.
very,
Anne Marie,
very
the
much
next
so.
one is kind of a follow up to that. And this person says, I can't get my head around joyful movement. I feel out of place in a gym and I don't have the coordination to go to a fitness class. I've never been one to exercise with weights or equipment. And I know you had an experience with this yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was at when I started the program. And I work in the health and wellness industry. And
Mhm.
I was terrified to walk into a gym and definitely felt I had zero coordination or would even enjoy a fitness class. So I remember coming to you and starting this program and saying, like, I want something, I just don't know where to start.
Mhm.
And holy, did I ever like fall in love with movement,
Yeah.
and started going to classes and realized that it was something I really enjoyed. I felt
Yeah.
connected to my body mentally and physically, and just felt a whole shift. But what I realized is I took the pressure off myself to get in, a workout, an exercise that is part of that diet culture belief. It had to be something.
Yeah.
Um, I let go of that pressure and just thought, I'm going for joy, for happiness, for
Yeah.
building some of my own confidence. And I'm just going to do what I like to do. And I'm going to stop worrying about what I look like in the gym or how uncoordinated I am when I'm doing a class.
Mhm. And that's not to say that everybody will end up there, right? Like, not all of us want to go to a gym and not all of us want to go to group fitness classes. There's nothing wrong with that. But you were able to participate in those things out of joy because you wanted to,
Yeah.
by changing your mindset.
And I totally learned that all of the other things that I used to discredit as being exercise, like going out for a walk, spending time on the trails, those are all joyful movement too.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so much available. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, Kathy, I got one more question for you. This listener says, I have spent so much money on programs, diets, personal trainers in the past, and nothing has worked. How do I know that this program will be different and it'll be worth the investment?
Well, the investment is well worth the dollar figure for the price of this program. You make no mistake, you will see very positive changes in your thought process as you progress through this program. With excellent private one on one sessions, as well as group calls with others who share similar issues and ideas, the price is definitely worth it for the length of the program and the materials I received. But the thought process learned in this program is the one that helps trans, transfer your thoughts from what they were to
Mhm.
what they can be.
Yeah.
And it not only affects your movement and your food, it transfers into all life. Like
Mhm.
I find it, if I have a thought process that's not doing me good,
Yeah.
I I can use the things I've learned and change that thought process.
Yeah.
And about halfway through the course, I recognized that this was happening.
Yeah.
And it was really exciting to me because it's another piece of the freedom
Yeah.
picture that has been discovered through this course.
Hmm. That is a really important point, and thanks for bringing that up. That this self-coaching tool that we use is not just for healing your body image and your relationship to movement and food. It can be applied to all areas of life, and I think you've all told me different situations where you've been able to implement that and see changes.
Yes.
And it also goes to show like just how much of our brain space is spent like thinking about food and thinking about our body. And when we can deal with that, how much of your mental capacity is available for the other things in your life that are important too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome. That's a really great point. Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're almost running out of time, but I want to give you all one more chance to go around and just share what's been your biggest golden nugget, the biggest takeaway that you have learned in the last 16 weeks in 30 seconds or less. Jen, you're at the top of my screen. Do you want to go first?
Trusting myself. My body knows what it needs to do, and my brain. I have a really full toolkit to be able to support me. So
Amazing.
trusting myself.
Great. Awesome. I love it. Anne-Marie?
Definitely tapping into my thoughts
Mhm.
and knowing how to navigate those, and that they can change everything in life, not just my mindset around food and exercise.
Yeah, it's huge, right? We tend to blame our circumstances for everything that's going wrong, but really it's so much more empowering when we can see that it's our thoughts and we can change them.
Totally.
Yeah. All right, Kathy, what about you? Your golden nugget.
Well, my biggest learning from the program is the freedom I have to choose my thoughts, my choices, and decisions each day, and to have the outcomes and goals that are what I want. I'm learning to like myself and to be kinder to myself.
Yeah, that's huge. That voice in your head is a lot kinder.
Mhm.
Okay, Stacy.
The thoughts and beliefs that I held on to for so many years aren't true. I
No.
don't need fixed because I'm not broken,
Yeah,
and health at every size is possible.
absolutely. Yeah, you hit, well, that was like 3 golden nuggets, but they were big ones.
Well, you know me, overachieving. I can never stick to one thing.
No, but if there's 3 big things to take, those are really good things to take, right? You're not broken. You can be healthy at any size. And yeah, those are all amazing. Oh, ladies, you're so inspiring. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. I really do admire all of you. And it's honestly such a joy to witness the transformation that you've all undergone. Like I always say, like, it's fun being a personal trainer and a nutritionist, like, guiding people through movement and talking about food is fun, but the true transformation happens in the mind. And it's so inspiring to me to be able to witness that and walk alongside you as you undergo those changes. So thank you for being brave and for embarking on this journey. And I'm so proud of you, and congratulations on everything that you've achieved. And thank you for sharing that with my listeners.
Thank you, Kim. We
You're-
really appreciate this
Yes, thank
opportunity.
Yeah, we really appreciate you, Kim.
Oh,
Mhm.
thanks so
you.
much. Oh man, aren't they so inspiring? Honestly, the change in these women from 16 weeks ago, it's phenomenal. Now, if what you heard today sounds like something you need, if you're struggling to stick to a movement practice, if you're stuck on the diet cycle, if you're obsessed with trying to lose weight, but you really need to accept your body as it is, then I encourage you to check out Right Body for Me. The doors are currently open for the February cohort, but only for a little while longer. They close on February 5th. I only offer this program 3 times a year to 10 women each time, so I don't want you to miss your chance if you need this kind of transformation. So next week, I'll be back with you, and it's getting close to Valentine's Day, so we're going to talk about self-love and what I think it means to love ourselves, especially if we don't yet love our body. It'll be an interesting chat. So thank you so much for being here today, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. I hope that this episode has helped you think differently about your relationship to movement, food, and your body. Until next week, friends, if you're looking for me, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Radiant Vitality Wellness, and you can find my free resource and info about how to work with me on my website, radiantvitality.ca. Be well, my friends, and here's to your radiant vitality. Hey, before you go, I just want to tell you how grateful I am for you. It means the world to me that you're part of our Radiant Vitality community. I've got a free gift for you. Head on over to my website and download The Motivation Secret, the simple mindset shift that will get you off the start-stop cycle for good. The link is in the show notes. And hey, if you enjoy this podcast, the greatest gift you could give me is to leave a review or share this episode with a friend. Your shares and reviews help move our show up the rankings on the podcast directories so that it can be seen by more women just like you who are ready for something different with fitness. Bye for now, friend.